Stream.
A little bit more light. Downstairs.
All right.
That comes
Good evening and welcome to another edition of One-on-One with Leo Gilling. This evening, I have the honor of, I think it's really an honor. I think it's a pleasure. Turn down that other device, and I think it's a pleasure to have Dr. Dianna Davis Smith, who happens to be. Turn on that other device for me, please. Turn it off.
I only have one device on. I don't have anything else on.
Okay, all right. So who happens to be a co-host of mine on, a show called Conversation with Leo and Michelle and Diana. And we're here Tuesday nights at 9 and Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock Eastern time. And we have a lot of fun. And you may have seen Diana touring Jamaica with me, or I touring Jamaica with her, actually. That's better. And we went across Jamaica and took you on tours of the country and Moko and all of those things, right? So you get to see that little fun part of Diana, right? Tonight, for the first time, I am going to dig in her past. I'm going to dig in her past. I'm going to deep dive in her story, because I want to know much more about this person that I spent the last year virtually and got a chance to see her run into my arms the first time when we met a month ago. Let's welcome here this evening Dr. Dianna Davis Smith. She is the president of Catholic College of Mandeville and a wonderful partner in a lot of things that we do. She has become one of my better friends, my best friends out there. We talk very often about the business of touring and all of that stuff. All right?
Thank you very much.
Dianna Davis Smith, how you doing?
Me good. Thank you very much. I was about to look around to say, who am I introduced so long? Who am I talking about so long?
Yes, it's you. I didn't know which one to use, the honor or the pleasure. The pleasure is the fun part, the friend part. The honor is how much I regard you as a human being, a humanitarian, a person who loves other persons. Huh? So let's get rolling. You ready?
All right. Tell me what you want to hear. What I can hear.
All right, Dianna Davis Smith. So, Dianna, which part of Jamaica you born? Now, which part you grew up where you born?
I was born in Clarendon. I was born, I don't know. I never asked.
Do you not know anything, Dianna Davis Smith? Do you not know anything?
I don't know everything. I know a lot of things, but I don't know everything. So I can't tell you that I was born in Chapeltown, I was born in Maypen, I was born where, I don't know. I really don't know.
Was it in a hospital or in a house?
I probably was born at a yard. Like most Jamaicans in my age group here, we're born a yard.
Okay, all right.
So, and
then which part you grew up now? Which part from the time you remember yourself? Which part, where were you the first time when you remember yourself?
So I remember myself growing up in a district in Upper Clarendon called Mears. And Mears was just on the outside of Trout Hall in Clarendon. So I remember that we lived in a house that originally belonged to the school principal, whose name was Ida Donaldson. Now, she was the meanest, trickiest thing you could ever come across.
Which school is that? Which school?
This was Trout Hall Primary School.
Primary school, okay.
So I didn't go to a basic school. I, in fact, went to primary school before it was time for me to go to school, on the understanding that if the principal came, Mrs. Donaldson, I'd have to go up to the principal's house.
Well, so them hide you and put in a school?
Yes.
They hide?
So they hide me at school. So that was the understanding between my mother. No, I want to make something known and perhaps not known to a lot of people. I was born into one household, but I grew up in a totally different household.
Okay, tell us about that.
So I was born to a family in Smithville. So, which is why I don't know whether or not I was born. I don't remember. I don't remember. Nobody ever remind me.
Okay,
so,
all right.
And probably somebody out there can tell me. So more than likely, I'll assume that I was born in Smithville. But as perhaps a year and a half, I went to live elsewhere in a totally different household.
And so this was with mom and dad, right? You were still with mom and dad?
No, this is a totally different household. So no dad, not in our story. Our story don't have no dad in there.
Okay, all right. I got you.
All right. Households that have dad, even in the original household or even the next household. So all I know is what I grew up with, and I grew up with that separate person as my mother.
Okay.
My mother is Myrtle Maria Hamilton. So
hold on. Is that your biological mom?
No, this is my mother.
Mother. Okay, so the person that you regard as your mother.
Distinction. This is my mother.
Okay,
gotcha. No distinction about it.
All right. So do you know your mother, your biological mother? Okay.
Yes, right. I know my biological family. I know my biological mother. I know my tweet of a dad, and I know all of that.
All right.
But it's not critical.
All right. Okay. No problem. I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying that.
So this is me. This is so I know that Myrtle she died in 2016. My mother. Yes. So we lived in a house that mommy rented from Mrs. Donaldson because she was working with the social development services or whatever it was called. She was a social worker.
Yes.
Yes. So initially, she worked over the years. I came to understand from her that she was one of the first teachers at Edwin Allen Comprehensive High School, Frankfield Comprehensive High School.
That was in the early 70s, wasn't it?
No, way before that. Whenever it was started, that was when Edwin Allen was around. It was way past that.
Okay.
Way before that. But I didn't know of that. But I can tell you in the early 70s, yes, no. So we lived in Mears. And I would go to school with the teacher, so a teacher who rented a room at the house. And I would get, if the inspector came to school, I was carted off up somewhere else because I wasn't supposed to be in school yet.
Okay.
So
they hide and put you at school.
Yes,
that's good.
So I was mingling with people long before I should have. Right. And then we moved to a housing scheme that was created, a newly created housing scheme in Trout Hall proper, which was closer to the school. And in each of those yards, you had orange trees. Everybody had at least 3 or 4 orange trees in the back of the yard, or ugly or grapefruit. And in front of you, you had this whole mass of orange walk.
Oh.
So it was this constant orange.
So you used to get ego.
Well, I don't know what it was, but we used to get something, which we got from eating too many oranges.
Too much orange. It's called ego.
and then I remember I got a good bout of wasp sting too, because there was this Artinique orange tree that I really loved. It was sweet. And I would climb that little tree and feast on it, and the wasp, them was always in there. But it was one of those things I learned the hard way to burn out wasp out a tree.
Oh wow, yeah. I that happened to me too.
Good for you.
And boy, they take me that. I swell up like that. Swell up like that.
Yes. Swell up your face, good and proper man.
Okay, that's interesting. I did not know about. You see why you're here this evening, right? All right, and then so you went to
Trout Hall. So I went to Trout Hall until grades 3.
So you spent up to grade 3. You probably spent 5 years at Trout Hall.
Yes, because I was there when I should have been in basic school.
Okay.
So I was there from early to that time. And
all right.
About that time, met some great people. Edwin Allen had a brother who lived in Trout Hall. So Shem Allen was his name. Then you had a lot of the Dunkleys who lived in that area as well. Still remain good friends with them, with the family, because the family has transitioned over the years. So I gather you left Trout Hall then and went to somewhere else. Yes. So after we left Trout Hall, we went to Maypen, and when I went to Maypen, we lived in an area called Hopefield, and in Hopefield now is where I met the Souths. So we had Christine and Jean and June, South, and all of that family. Lots of other people, the Edwards and Somervilles. And what type of house was that? What kind of housing was that? It was a newer development. Okay. The housing scheme. It was a housing scheme, as was the other, where you just had a standard size house. Right. You had a lot. You could decide whether or not you wanted this particular design or that design, and people are at liberty to do all that. So it's a bigger space. You're in Maypen, you're in the town, never have to drive so far to go to Maypen. Whilst we're in Trout Hall, I remember we used to go to church in Chapeltown, which was right across from Clarendon College, because we were Roman Catholics. So we went to St. Robert's, Bellamere, and that's where I got baptized and got first communion when I went to Maypen. So anyway, we moved to Maypen, to Hopefield, nice big house down in Maypen now. Don't have no neighbor right next to you, so that was not so cool, because you had neighbor, you could just stand up at the fence and talk to Mrs. Dunkley or Mr. Briscoe or somebody. No, you had to go a little way to find Uncle Vincent, to go to Mark or Debbie or Junior or whoever house it was. But then I went to Four Parts Primary School. Oh, and that's close to Maypen? No, Four Parts was, I don't know, it never seemed so close. Four Parts is probably about a half an hour drive. Okay. Yeah, I'm interested to find out though, aside from the historical part, because you know, as I say, I'm gonna dig a little bit. Yes. So you didn't grow up with your mom or your dad. You grew up with someone who is not biological to you. Right. What went through your mind as a child? Do you remember or you recall any feelings of jealousy, any feelings of not belonging or wanting? Did you have any kind of disadvantaged feeling growing up as a child who did not have the biological parent like everybody else? No, I didn't feel that I was missing anything. In fact, I didn't even know I was not. I was supposed to be feeling anything at all. There was just an abundance of love. Everything was centered on or about me. It was always a learning opportunity for everything. If it was my mother, she spoke Spanish, she spoke English, so there were always these interactions. She was all about developing and ensuring that you recognize the need to give back. So while she would be teaching literacy class, we would get to go with her. Any person who had a challenge and wanted somewhere to stay for a little while to just sort themselves out, she was always open to that. So you kind of learned early the values to care for somebody else and not expect anything in return. So when did you find out? When did you find out that she was not? I always knew. Oh, you did? Yes, there was no secret about it. I always knew, but it for me, it was okay, fine, but so what? It was not something that I don't walk around with a calling card and say, hey, this is what it is, because I somehow figured that I had to deal with my emotions about it, as she would have to deal with her own emotions about it.
Yes.
And I got to get my cousins to come and visit from left, right, and center. Anybody who wanted, brothers and sisters, could come at any time, especially if they needed sorting out or they needed to pursue educational opportunities. This was really the place that facilitated it more than the other.
That is so unique, because, you know, generally you hear horror stories. You know what I mean?
No.
So that's really, really nice to hear. And then so you left Fourth Path. That's where you took your your common entrance, right?
Yes. So I took in fact, my friend who was just here helping me to sort out was my friend from primary school.
Oh.
From Four Paths Primary School.
Okay.
And so I took my common
Call our name, man.
So I took my common entrance and I went to Clarendon College. She went off to Glenmuir, poor child. Which is my dear friend. Her name is Jacqueline Hilton. She studied. She was into, in fact, one of them books here, C++ and all kind of programming and coding.
Yes.
And
so she is a computer technician, technical person.
That don't make sense to ordinary people. My dearest friend, Jackie Hilton.
All right, and then and so, you know, you took me to the campus to your. I didn't get to go to Four Paths. In fact, the next time I come, being a friend, I want to know Smithsville. I want to know the house where you live at Smithville, so that we can show up the people them. I want to know the house where you live in a where the first part of Four Paths.
In Trothall.
Trothall, yeah. Trothall. I want the house where you live at Trothall. So I want to take some picture with that. All right.
Let me tell you a little story about Trothall, because right in the corner you had these two houses, Mrs. Donaldson's house where we live, and Mr. Chambers' house where my friends Bridget and Grace and Mikey and Norman, they all lived. And right behind the house, the train would pass to go to Trothall. So you always hear the train and, you know, all the noise. But along the fence too, over by Bridget's house, they had a plum tree. And let me tell you, one day,
which one of the plum them? Which one of the plum them? You have to be careful now. Which one of the plum them? The one where let me hear you say that with the man.
No, plum.
Big plum. Big plum. All right.
Good plum where people eat, the red plum them. So we decided to climb the plum tree and to pick plum. Wasn't waiting on her brothers to come home. So we helping ourselves and we climbed the tree. And so I climbed the tree, and in coming down the tree, the barbed wire run on the tree and it ripped my leg. And we know
don't show us. We don't want to see it. But
I was just about to lift up my clothes and show you my leg, you know, because I still have the mark. The people.
Somebody set it here.
No, careless. But anyway, let me tell you, I get a beating. Bridget did get a beating too. Never mind, it's not her fault. But we tried to fix it ourselves. So we went in and we put Dettol on it and stuffed them out with the towel and couldn't ball out.
What is this stuff out with towel? What does that mean?
I stuffed them out with the towel because she went pour Dettol on my face.
Oh, for the crying. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Might as well we did ball, because by the time her mother come from school and find out what happened, we get a whopping. And then by the time mommy come home, we get another whopping, and the next day off to the doctor because it swelled like crazy, you know. Now I had to get tetanus shot. So I mean, I hate injections, so that was another beating. I might as well have been another beating from but I still have a terrible mark. I never forget that.
and tell me about your experience. You know, you can just summarize your experience at I think everybody hear about your thing already, about your Clarendon College thing. So just summarize it. Tell us about your first form. Okay.
First one was interesting, but you know, when you turn up at school those days, you dread it, because I was really small. Let me tell you, I was the tiniest thing that you could find. Do you have a picture of yourself when you were first form? No, I'm sorry. I really.
I know Diane, I know you have everything, but you don't want to show us.
But I'm not on my laptop because my laptop started acting up. I would have shared pictures of mommy and myself back then. I'm on Dana's laptop. So
how much you weighed when you were in the first form? How much you weighed?
Let me tell you, put it this way. When I finished high school, I was weighing 98 pounds. When I started working, I was wearing size 0 suits. But let me tell you, I was so small that Jackie's mom, who used to be one of our teachers at Fort Park, she nicknamed me Midget. So a lot of people don't know me as Dianna Davis Smith. If you ask for me, you have to ask for Midget. And everybody say, oh, Midget, yes.
So hold on there. Are you proud now with, being more than 100 pounds? Yeah, are you proud now?
No, not really. There are days when I wish I was 120. There are days when you see a little suit and you're like, ooh, damn.
So do you remember walking onto the campus of Clarendon College the first time that you part of your past exam?
Yes, I remember the first time because we went to orientation and my aunt took me, her name is Elcida Mutual, and she took me up to this awesome property, huge, for registration, and you feel like you're going to get lost in this place. And the first day I went to school, it was fun and good, but I got to go to school with June and Christine, because they all
June is the one in London, right?
Yes. Okay. So I had protection because June was in upper school and Christine was in like third form and she better than the rest, and I have family. So they come in and they said, this is their little sister, So they established that so people don't mess with them little sisters. So I felt kind of proud. And then this boy, George Azan, I don't remember me and George quarrel on the first day of school. Me and George must have quarrel over desk and chair. Because then I go sit down somewhere and he must go sit down in my seat and I say, no, my seat, and I must go complain. But anyway, me and George are best friends. Spoke to him 2 days ago too. Nice. So we still maintain those relationships. Flavia Scott was a great girlfriend of mine as well. Remain that friends also.
Were you in sports in school? I mean, at 98.
Sports? What kind of sports? Me couldn't run to save my life. Me couldn't swim. Me couldn't play netball. By the time I reached third form, I figure out, say, all right, fine, this PE thing not working for me. So me and Charmaine, Shotgun, and Flavia Scott, we don't do no PE. When PE time come, we either gone down some little truck, gone somewhere, gone look something for the, and then we come back for PE. We don't know PE. Because we never like the PE teacher.
Okay. So when you went into second form now, right? Yeah. And the first formers are coming, how did you feel?
I felt like a senior. I felt like I was this big, awesome being that would just walk past them with my brilliant spirit, and just glide past the first form block like some alien. Worse than we reach the third form. Then when you reach the fifth form now, and you're really, really up there. Yes. Then when you reach the sixth form, you don't even talk to them for them a pleasure.
You don't see them.
You never see them. Them don't come. Never mind you and them. Some of them bigger than me, but they never.
All right, that's so nice.
Them detention.
I mean, being on that campus was just fantabulous. I mean, just was a very nice experience, just walking on the campus and looking around. It must have been a very good experience for you.
It was wonderful having had the opportunity to study there when you had the likes of John Macmillan, who was my principal back then. And then we had Mr. Porteous later on. Got into some trouble along the way. Got got suspended from school and my mother never knew.
Oh, you? No, you hold on there. Just because mommy passed now, why you can't say this, right? Okay, do you want to tell us about?
Let me tell you, she found out. So we got suspended from school, but mommy was good friend with the principal and the vice principal. They knew her well. And she came to look for her friend, Mrs. Macmillan. And it was the last day of the suspension. And so Mrs. Macmillan says, you're here because Angela got suspended. And she's like, suspended?
So hold on. So what did you do? for those days that you were suspended. For her to, you got, and hold on, man, hold on. Give me Tory, give me Tory. You. So you put on your uniform. You put on uniform every day and go to school.
Yeah, and go to school. Go down a guinea tree, catch a bus, go on a school, same way, hang out at the school library. When lunchtime, you go to tuck shop, buy your food, go back to library. When school done, you go my yard.
All right.
Last day. Oh,
all right, so what does mommy do?
Oh Lord, it was a long, let me tell you, it was the longest drive from Chapelton to Maypen. It was a longest drive,
driving. Oh my God.
But I had a good friend who was always looking out for me, Charmaine Robinson. Charmaine lived in Boxhaven.
Lord, up on the hill, ladies and gentlemen, there is Boxhaven and what do you call it? No Buck, what did I name? Bucknut. All right.
So we got into our own little squabbles as teenagers would, and but it was excellent learning opportunities. Clarendon College was more than just a football or a track team. It was somewhere where you built character. You learn to care for others. You learn to be mindful of, and you learn to share.
Okay, that's
really learn to share.
So did you do sixth form first year and second year there too?
Yes, I did 2 years of sixth form at Clarendon College. After my fifth form, I did zoology, history, and it might have been econ. I don't remember, but I did zoology because I wanted then to have been a theater nurse. I didn't end up being a theater nurse.
I guess not. Okay. And then, so you finish up sixth form.
Yes.
Then what happened?
I finished up sixth form, and that summer I would go and look for my friends, Donna Scott, then Donna Scott Borising. She had a law firm in Maypen. She was from Maypen too, and so I was
Donna Scott Motley.
Yes, Donna Scott, but then she was Donna Scott Borising.
Okay, I see. Okay.
So she and her sister Nicola Scott Bonnick had a law firm together in Maypen. They're both Clarendon College past students, and their younger sister, Flavia Scott, and myself were friends in high school at Clarendon College. So it wasn't unusual. I'd go out there, but I got a summer job now through another friend, a Clarendon College past student, Carleen Hosang Bancroft. She arranged a little summer job for me. So I went to work at bank. And man, let me tell you, the first time I get paid, it was like, oh, money. Like, so this was supposed to be a summer job, and then
what you do with it? Where do you do the money? Let me ask you that. Where do you do the money? You remember?
I think we buy clothes.
Clothes, right? Okay, so you go shopping.
Yes, buy clothes. You know, the first thing you do with money as a woman is buy clothes. Buy clothes, man. So I got a summer job. I decided to stay with the summer job, and I passed on nursing school. I got into Kingston School of Nursing, but changed my mind that I never mind the independence that the money seemingly gave me. And I didn't mind the banking either. And I met some great friends. I met Michelle Chinfat, who is in fact one of my kids' godparent, and we remained friends. And in fact, that's another story. We rented a house and we moved out of our parents' house. But then every day, them have to send lunch gone, dinner come give it. I don't we all us pay with all our rent, but then send dinner for we and then collect the clothes and laundry and everything. Okay. But I spent a few years in the banking sector.
And this was in Mandeville. This was in Maypen. Maypen. Okay. So did you go to UA?
No, I didn't go to that institution. In fact, I studied at NCU. I did my undergrad degree. Then it was West Indies College.
West Indies College then?
Yes. So I did my first degree at West Indies College. And I was a real staunch Roman Catholic on an Adventist campus. So I remember getting a paper in one of their exams that you had to defend, the Sabbath. And I wrote everything to the contrary. And I was quite certain that I was going to fail, but I was prepared to argue with them. Needless to say, everybody knew me thereafter.
Here's a Catholic pundit. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And so, Dianna, today you are the president of an institution. What got you there? What was what's the path that got you to NCU?
The Catholic College of Mandeville.
I mean, oh my God, I'm getting old, people.
I would not have applied to NCU.
CCM.
I'm sure they would have wanted me, but
CCM.
But I decided to lend my skills to my own faith.
Right.
Banking led into different spheres of financial management and all of that. And when I was at a stage where I thought that I had seen most of what banking could be in Jamaica, including the rehabilitation of a failed financial sector, I thought about it and said, well, what do I want to do after this? And I've always enjoyed lecturing and teaching and training and, those things that we just sit down and do even unwittingly. And I said, I'm going to do a study. I'm going to become an educator. And so I decided along the way to pursue a PhD in education with a major in leadership. I fell in love with the concept of emotional intelligence prior to that. And I combined them both for my thesis. So between my banking experience and my love for emotional intelligence, and also knowing that Jamaica was looking to introduce credit scoring systems, I decided to do a study in preparation for credit rating in Jamaica. So I looked at the propensity to service a debt relative to one's emotional intelligence.
Whoa.
I mean, some of my friends said, this girl well mad, and they probably were right. And they probably have no doubt now that me well mad. But I thought it was a way to remove the subjectivity that we bankers exercised when we were lending money.
Credit, yes.
Because it was a matter of relationships and, who you could call your banker and say, boy, I want $2 million to borrow. And I say, all right, no problem, come so and so, come tomorrow.
It would take all of that away. It would take away the personality, the personnel out of banking and financing and crediting and all that stuff. It would take that all out of the way.
It would put more equity and fairness in the process.
In fairness, yes.
If one would look at my natural inclination versus who I am and where I'm from and who I am. So anyway, that was my study. So after that, I decided, well, I'll do this study and I'll focus on education and I'll focus on training. And I wanted to train people to better understand how to manage their finances. I had the opportunity to serve in an institution that looked at failed institutions, and too often the common thread was a lack of understanding of what people should know about banking.
Everything that we're going to, that's yes. The masses is that's the same problem across.
Yes. So I did this PhD, and then there was a place put in receivership and them called me and I said, all right, fine. And I went there and I spent a few years trying to sort out that thing. And then after that, I said, no, I'm going to take a break. I would take, every 2 years, I would take a vacation with my children and we would do something new and different and see a new place. And I said, well, I'm going to take an early vacation and chill for a few months. And I go to mass one day and my priest says, there's an opening, and he has this heavy Indian accent. He says, Dianna, there's an opening at the Catholic College of Mandeville and they need a president and you have a PhD in education and that's what they need. And I said, no, that's not what they need. They don't need me. They need somebody else with lots of experience. He said, I tell you, they need you. So I said, all right, then.
You're not speaking right, Dianna. That's not Indian.
Oh, speak it then.
No, I don't know what institute is. I mean, you.
Well, let me tell you, and you speak it Indian. So Father Pascal says, no, they need you. And I said, no, Father, they don't need me. I'm on a break. I'm just chilling. I don't want anybody to bother me. I don't want nothing to do. So just leave me alone. He said, no, I'm going to go. I said, well, go ahead and call. You want to go? You want to do it? You call, set up an appointment, and I will follow you. And he sets the appointment. And he calls me and he says, Dada, we have an appointment for tomorrow. And we're going to meet with the board chair. And I said, we? He says, yes. I told you I was going to call. I said, yes, but I wasn't taking you serious. I tell you I'm on a break. He said, no, you don't need no break. So we went together, me and my priest went up, and I said, all right, fine, I'll just go and look at the property. And we met with some members of staff there just to look at the property. No, have no interview. Nobody don't say them. We must say no application. Come give them nothing. We just go look for the people in place. So we went and we look at it and said, boy, this is a fabulous place. And he's like, yes, yes, yes. And then we're on our way back from there now, and he calls the board chair. And she says, oh, yes, we advertised, didn't you? Let her send an application in. And I sent along with others, I'm certain, my application. Did my rounds of interview, and I have no regrets.
How has that been?
It has been a challenge. It has been a real challenge. But I'm reminded by a friend of mine, Pat Gale, who says, Dianna, I remember when you were graduating, when I was on my graduation day with my PhD, she says, what the hell are you going to do with this damn PhD? And I said, I'm going to have my own school. Sorry for the language. And she said, Dianna, you remember? You said you didn't want your own school. No, you get a school.
Yeah, your own school. Oh my God. So let me, you see I'm glad you were able to go from your childhood all the way up, and we see the fire in you, and we see how you have moved from one stage to the next, and you are now the president. How is that? I mean, is that what I want to ask? Are you a good model for the rest of Jamaican kids? Do they see themselves this way? Like, you always knew that you can be something better and better and better. The masses of Jamaican kids, how are they looking at people like you versus themselves at this point?
I would hope, Leo, that the average Jamaican child sees endless possibilities in themselves. But it has to be encouraged by family and by those around them. We need to have a system that tells them that you can achieve all that you can. If I was to honestly respond to that, I don't know that they can truly believe that with all their heart these days in Jamaica. It is seemingly driven so much by social standing or economic status, rather than character and sheer pursuit and sweat, blood, and tears.
I ask you that because I know you have some sixth form students there.
Yes.
What have you heard them? What do you feel when they come into the school? How do they relate to someone like you or someone close to you? Or do they see themselves in this mode? It's what I'm asking.
I believe that those students who have the opportunity to do their grades 12 and 13, which is the sixth form at CCM, feels a difference when they get on our campus. It's nestled in a spot that encourages calm and peace, one. Secondly, nobody walks on that campus with any air of divine authority, so to speak. So everybody can feel an equal opportunity to speak to somebody. I walk in and nobody is bowing and scraping. I walk in and people don't know that the president has walked in. So we try to keep it as real and as normal as possible for ordinary people. So when I stop to have a conversation with a gentleman and I say, good morning, sir, I say that not for any measure of sarcasm, but because it's important for him to feel that he is a sir and to want to behave in that kind of a way. So yes, when they come at CCM, it is my intention for them to leave different, for them to have a better understanding of how to deal with issues of differences, for them to have a better understanding of their own emotions and what is possible. I'm driving out the gate and somebody at the gate, and I stop to ask if you're going Mandeville or you're going Maypen. And I'm prepared to give a lift and engage them in conversation as well. So I have some CDs with some song that not fit for airplay, because then say, Miss, I mean, record this, you know. And I said, really? And he said, Miss, you know, go listen to it. And I said, no, man, give it to me, man. I mean, listen to it. I mean, then find a little corner for talk to him another day. Say, boy, them kind of rough, you know, but you might have to go fix it up a little bit.
Dianna, the role of a teacher,
yes,
is to inspire,
yes,
motivate, encourage, and educate learners, right?
So the book say.
Pandemic.
Yes.
Has pandemic hampered that? Was that happening before pandemic? Is it happening now? Why is it not happening? Why is it happening?
The role of a teacher was already impacted by financial constraints, or I think that educators became overtaken by a need to survive financially. And so that was a challenge within the education sector from the get-go. There's a sense of not being adequately or reasonably compensated for effort. There then became a need for teachers to find other ways of surviving, making ends meet, so they too could take care of their families. The business of COVID and this pandemic, yes, it has impacted it in perhaps a negative way. And it will continue to hamper it. I hope.
What are some of the other things that, I mean, because I know that crime was a big thing and teachers were scared and all of that prior to COVID. I mean, because I know how parents are walking onto campus, because I hear it all the time, and facing up to teachers and you know, and that couldn't happen back in the days of ago, but it is happening now. I mean, was that how did that work prior to?
I think that we had a fallout in values as it relates to family and teacher relationships and respect for self and ultimately respect for others. There was a fallout also in the relationship between school and home and community. So there's just all these areas of division within the society that feeds or evidences itself in the relationship between student and teacher, teacher and parent, parent and child. So you have these breakdown in values in all of those levels, and we're just going to see the ripple effect of it.
Can that come back? Can that come back?
Yes, it can come back if we make a concerted effort to care a little bit more for ourselves, to respect ourselves more, to respect the other person more, to care a little bit more about the well-being of the other person. But it might perhaps mean, forgive me, that we might lose a generation while we try to inculcate those values again.
Because it takes not just the teachers, but it takes the ministry, it takes the...
It takes an entire system. It has to be that we as educators embrace and adopt social and emotional learning in a serious way. So one, it would mean that we have to inform teachers about what is social emotional learning, what it means to care for myself so that I can care for somebody else. It means also that we have to introduce the concepts of restorative practices, where repairing harm and building relationships become the focus in the classroom. So rather than suspend a student because him late over and over again, you have a conversation about it to find out why it is that the student is late. not why, but what happened to cause the student to be late, because it might mean that it needs intervention by the school or by the state to help the student.
But
that child is not going to help.
Those restorative practices are also to be working on the parents too, because
certainly, because then once you introduce the concept, you're going to ensure that you train others so they become aware of it. And no mind, when you start a child at grade 1 with emotional intelligence to say, what happened? What were you thinking? Rather than, what you do that for? Be tired for doing it and just woof, woof, woof. They will go home and talk to their parents in that way. And before you know it, there is an adoption of this practice, you know, and it was through the society and introduce it to the police.
How is pandemic affecting education today?
Wow, pandemic, it has perhaps been the major upsetter in the,
not disruptor, but upsetter.
Upsetter is an upsetter. It's not an upsetter. That means that at the races you're going to win big on the odds.
But they got a trifecta.
Yes, you know, go affect the trifecta around here. This is an upsetter that is going to change the way things have been for us in education. First and foremost, the whole brick and mortar operation and face-to-face that we have figured this is the only way to learn has just been blown totally. So that is out the window. But what it has done is that it has highlighted the disparities among classes and groups within the society. So the divide is clear and blatant.
And that's in a negative way, you're saying, right?
Very negative way.
Okay, because now the haves are still getting some level of learning, yes, but the haves not are gone deeper into the sequel.
In fact, there was a study, I was reading a paper just 2 days ago, and there was a study that was done in the US, and it found that within a 12-month period, the average child has retracted 5 months in learning, despite the fact that in the US,
they've gone backwards.
Yes, but it's 5 months.
Not that they miss 5 months, but they have gone backwards 5 months.
Fallen by 5 months in their math and their English. And this is in the US, where they don't have the challenges of the have-nots in Jamaica, the typical have-nots, poor connectivity, no tablet, only WhatsApp, send a message, or a bike man drop off a letter and you carry it back. They don't have none of that, yet they have regressed by 5 months.
So can you imagine the same study being done here in Jamaica and what that impact is? That's like 5 years, right?
I shudder at the thought. I shudder at the thought, Leo, as to what those results would be. Because those persons who are able to support their children, and we don't factor in the inability of parents to support their children by having an understanding of what it is that their child is learning or is being taught. So factor that into all of that too, because you have parents who barely literate, but who want their kidney to learn. And when they have to help that child in maths, it's hard enough for me trying to learn. I can't help Dianna with fair maths, so I don't even.
All right, so thanks for that. That's really is school reopening in September?
Yes, school is reopening in September.
Oh, yeah, or is it set? I guess it's a better question. Is it set to reopen in September?
Yes, same question. School is set to reopen in September.
All right,
we expect it to open in September.
But we have an announcement today, or yesterday, maybe today, that the Delta variant is in Jamaica.
Long time, yes.
Official today.
All right, fine. Yeah, all right, I take that. So there's an official announcement that we have the Delta variant here.
Yes, and they've tested 40 to 60, yes, right? So let's use the lower of the two numbers.
Yes.
22, right? 22, which is half of the 40. 50% of the people in Jamaica have the Delta variant, right?
Yes.
Let's use the bigger mark.
No, don't use the bigger mark. And I tell you why. Don't use the bigger mark because they only got back the results for 40.
Oh, they did. Oh. Okay, all right. All right, so we can extend that out a little bit, right?
Yes.
And that is a very scary thought. Yes. Let me tell you what my thought is now, and we can.
Yes.
My thought is the longer the variant or the virus stays in person's bodies, it's a potential for it to mutate, right?
Okay.
And so if it mutates in Jamaica, we're in bigger, deeper trouble.
So you mean so we're going to create one Jamaican Irie Delta?
Ah! Hold on, why is it that you always do that to me? All right. So if school is set to open and our numbers are bigger than have ever been all this 18 months, then we should have opened school from last year, September. All right, so tell me what you're thinking about school reopening and how is this going to impact our lives in Jamaica? How is what is going on right now going to impact school reopening and what's going to happen?
Well, we're going to have to be trained in the digital technology. We're going to have to embrace that fully. The government will have to ensure that broadband and internet access is available to all and sundry. As to gadgets for connection, the government, as the institution that ought to provide training and education for the nation and ensure safety and security, will have to formulate some policy to provide gadgets for all students. Because
do you see that happening? All right, don't answer that. Do you?
I see some action being taken to attain it.
What about the broadbanding? Because that's necessary. Is that happening?
The broadbanding, the Minister of Education has said that there is plans afoot and action being taken to ensure that schools will have the broadband. The challenge is that perhaps it would be a better perspective to allow schools to have satellite internet, to give permission for them to do that, because that would ensure that the institution, which valley in which hilltop it on, can pick up and be fed some internet. But I don't know what the law is.
So do you see us, because you just said we're going to have to go digital, we're going to have to do this, what is the modality? Let's say we come out of COVID in 2022, June 2022. What's the modality?
It will have to be blended. All instructions will have to be blended format. One, if school starts, let us say, in mid-September, which with this ratio of COVID Delta variant now doesn't seem likely to me, but if, let us say, school starts, it will have to be a blended format. To engage.
What is blended? What do you mean by blended?
When I say blended, it means that some portion of classes will have to be delivered face-to-face, and some portion of it will have to be delivered on the tablet. So you, because you named Gillen, you come to school Monday, Tuesday this week.
Okay.
Me named Davis, we come Thursday, Friday. The rest of the time you online when me there school, or me online when you there school.
So you're reducing the amount of people in the classroom so that people can spend six feet apart.
Right. So since
what about the teacher? What about the teacher? The teacher is going to be here for 5 days, right?
Well, I believe that the teachers are going to be stressed because they're going to have to work harder. So you're going to have to give the teachers some support. So where you used to have one teacher with 40 people in a primary class or 25 or 30, you're going to have one teacher plus one other teacher. So that
you have got a technology teacher, someone who's technology who can do the classroom online.
No, because the teacher who is instructing is the teacher that I am to see when I'm online.
Oh, so, I see what you're saying. Okay, that's you.
So you need two teachers because you need a teacher now who is probably monitoring the online interaction to see the questions and to raise them and address them, or to make sure that the class is hearing. So everybody.
This is Diana's.
Yes.
This is Diana's proposal, right? It's not what government is saying. She's saying that this is my proposal. Okay. All right. So her solution.
And in the midst of it, you have to expose these teachers, to the whole concept of emotional intelligence, because there is going to be fulsome frustration in the yard, fulsome frustration for the people when they come to school to manage them emotions. So you're going to have more.
Before we even get to the mental emotional stuff, we talked about broadbanding.
Yes.
You said the government has a plan.
Yes.
For broadbanding, right? Yes. That is not coming into effect this September, right?
Yes, man. The minister said we're going to get it.
Oh, we're getting it. All the schools getting it.
Yes. So the minister said.
Oh, okay. All right.
Working.
All right. I wanted to know that because that makes. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to mental emotional now. See how
but maybe we'll go back to that. This is what the minister said. But let me tell you, Mrs. Minister, let me tell you this thing. We pay for our own fiber optic wire, and let me tell you, it's due sometime to get it, and it's years now we have our own fiber. So I can't even begin to imagine how she's going to reach up into some places in Devon.
But I thought that, okay, you're confusing my little brain, because the reason I cut off of the topic is because I thought it's on its way and they're gonna have it. Yes, but that was sarcasm. You were saying
no, me not being sarcastic. Look here, the minister says that they are working on it and all the institutions will have internet. I am just saying to myself, Miss Minister, I am down on the ground and I see what I see. I pay and I lay down the fiber optic box for how much millions of money and still have the juice to get it. But I am hopeful.
All right, Diana, it's been so nice. You have 2 minutes to deliver to your audience whatever you want to wrap up with in this segment. You have 2 minutes, so you can chat all you want. All right.
2 minutes to chat all I want. Now look here, my friends and family. Thank you all for joining. Let me tell you, I have lived such a life. I have lived a life that has allowed me to touch so many other persons' lives in a positive way. And I've lived a life where I have been influenced by so many other persons in all spheres of life. But one thing I've always I don't struggle. I try hard not to do is not to get haughty. When some people get haughty? No, I try.
What is that?
Haughty when you start I'm a big and fat and look well. And when you get haughty and show off and things, you lose the
okay, you reach. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, when you get too haughty with yourself and
yes.
So I thank my friends. I know that my friend Danica in Canada is watching, and she said she was excited because she said, yeah, I get to hear all about you. So all my friends and family, I thank you so much. I thank you for all the help that you give me at different aspects and areas of my life. My tire puncture and I stop on the highway and the policeman helped me change my tire and he refused to take our money. Then we have another policeman who give me ticket, but that's all right. Me love everybody same way. Let me tell you, I thank you for this opportunity. Can I just say that I thank all the persons who have influenced me. I thank God for the opportunity to have grown up with Myrtle Maria Hamilton. She was an excellent example of what women ought to be and how we ought to care for each other. And I trust that if nothing else, that I can have that kind of an impact on the lives of others along the way. I enjoy education. The pay is bad. It is dreadful. But there is so much satisfaction that you get out of it when you see others accomplish and you see the joy and you hear it, and when they turn around and tell you thanks. I worked for a little bit in the hotel sector, and let me tell you, somebody wrote me a note, one of my staff members, and it was just heartwarming when she reminded me. She said, "Doc, you remember you make us start a reading program to teach the landscapers how to read." People must always give back a little bit. You always have something you can share.
And Dr. Dianna Davis Smith, like calling you, is it Dr. Dianna Davis? It's like all kind of D. What do you call it again? Alliteration. All right. D. All right. Okay. All right. Except this. All right. Thank you so much for joining. It was so much fun listening to you, and I was happy to hear the early parts of your life because, you know, I mean, that could have gone in a different direction because, as most people know, you see people being abused, people being molested, and all that kind of stuff, and you were protected and you were given the best. It means that you know, in a situation where someone is adopted or someone is fostered, it can be a good situation if someone cares. It's a care, you know. And so thank you so much for showing us your life. And I hope that other children will be able to see this and know that they have the same kind of opportunity that you have to reach where you are. Thank you so much. A great story.
Thank you for having me here, and thank you.
Thank you guys, whomever listening. Thank you so much. This is not a show where you get the chance to talk back and forth with us, but you can always comment and we will come back at the recording, and then we will comment on it. All right. Thank you
very much, Leo. Thank you for the opportunity. I think this is an excellent way to just encourage others. I mean, you dig up in my business, but hey.
Bye-bye, Dianna.
Take care.